welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We have to talk about the labor movement in Tennessee. Mr. JLee, who is the president of the AFL-CIO, and with Mr. Lee is Kwame LLillard, who is the president of the African American Cultural Alliance. And let me welcome both you, Leo, and you, Jerry, to the show this morning, and to tell you how delighted we are to have the two of you here. And of course, I think our audience already know that the two of you are following a presentation that was made by a younger person.
I think we need to leave. Follow that prayer.
Absolutely. But what we'd like to do is to really talk about some of the things, some of the questions that she raised.
Absolutely.
In reference to this morning. But first, Mr. Lee, let's see if you can give us some information about your background, education, and your experiences, and then Kwame will give us essentially the same kind of information, and then we'll talk about some other things later on. And then we'll start talking about the labor union, teachers, and et cetera, all that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Haynes. I grew up in Gallatin, Tennessee, graduated from high school there. When I graduated, family didn't really have enough money to send me to college, so at that time it was a lot of opportunity to get in apprenticeship training programs, and I applied for the electrician's apprenticeship program and the CWA Communication Workers program and TVA. And the IBEW electricians called me first, and beginning a long time ago, I served a 5-year apprenticeship with IBEW. Subsequently, I worked all over Nashville, many of the high-rise buildings you see we worked on. When I finished my apprenticeship, I went in the U.S. Army. I had been deferred from the draft in the 60s for the purposes of finishing that program, but I went in the Army in 62, served 2 years, and came out and was a journeyman electrician, went back to work as an electrician. Then about 72, GI Bill came along, went to University of Tennessee at Nashville for a long time at night, and I graduated from there with a BS degree. Politically, in my union, I ran for business manager. Subsequently, after serving many different offices, I was 2-term business manager for my local union. And when Mr. James Neely went to the state to be Commissioner of Labor, he was the president of Tennessee AFL-CIO, and I ran for that position, and I've been there since that time for about 8 years.
I remember that time. And of course, Kwame, why don't you say something about your background? People know that you've been involved. As a matter of fact, you were standing up holding a sign here. And
absolutely.
It can truly be said that the two of us represent perhaps the oldest part of the civil rights movement.
We do.
Say something about that.
And we should always be mindful of the towers and the giants in the labor movement and the civil rights movement. Sometimes it's the same person. A man named A. Phil Randolph. He wore 2 hats. He wore the hat of a civil rights advocate, a civil rights pioneer, but also the organizer of the Sleeping Car Porters Union, a very powerful black union. And we should always be mindful. We should never turn their hands loose with the civil rights movement and the labor movement, because they are the same. They have the same mission, and that is to bring social justice, to bring equality to the American citizens. The African Alliance has always has a mission, has in their charter to make sure that we always stand guard of the rights that we have attained through struggle, through deaths, through a lot of sacrifices. Those victories we won will not come easy, and you don't take them lightly. So when there's a chance to develop collaboration with a union or with workers, we will always be there with them, because most of the people we serve in the community are workers. They are not managers. They're not executives. They're not the professional people. Dr. King went to Memphis to give his life, not a lawyers association, not a doctor's association, but the garbage workers. So we should never forget that.
And of course, Mr. Lee, what does the AFL have in reference to your particular plan at this particular time? What would you like for folks to do and think in terms of what you're doing?
Well, what we're doing is trying to create a re-energize a movement of the working people of this country. Things have gotten so bad for so many reasons, and politics being some of those reasons, but there are many reasons. Offshoring, we've lost a lot of our manufacturing jobs in this country. We've lost our industrial base, and we're talking about 12 to 14 million jobs when we talk about our industrial base. Those jobs are gone, and they'll be a long time if they ever come back. We are being attacked. They're trying to balance the budget on the back of poor people, working people, and they're giving the ultra wealthy tax breaks all the same time, and it's just not right. You can't balance the budget of this country on the backs of working people.
You know, when you think about AFL and CIO, why don't you give us some idea about how your organization is arranged, so that in other words, how you touch basically every labor person in this country? There's
a national organization. The AFL-CIO was a union organization. CIO, one was more construction-based, one was industrial manufacturing-based. They merged in 1956. And recently, in 2005, some of them pulled out of the AFL-CIO and started another umbrella union called the Change to Win. But we all work together at all levels to promote the common good of working people, socioeconomic welfare of the people. And so the things that you're doing here in the state of Tennessee, they're doing in Alabama and all over the rest of the nation, and this is indeed really an international organization. Absolutely, it is, and especially with the Canadian unions. We have a lot of Canadian unions in the AFL-CIO, and it's not as strong as it used to be, but we're still strong, and we're still advocating for the working people, and we also advocate for affiliating with community organizations, and you saw some of that in this last demonstration we had Tuesday. There were community groups and allies there from all over. And I think what we'll do as we come to the end of this second segment, Mr. Lee, is to give you and Kwame an opportunity when we come back to deal with some of the specifics in reference to the things that you dealt with at the state legislature, because I think that in terms of the threat to the AFL-CIO, it's also a threat to all of these other units and et cetera. And so folks want to know exactly what the situation is in reference to that. And we'll talk about that when we come back during our second segment. We'll start with you. And of course, we'll be back with you following this short commercial break.